What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast. Today is episode 25, and it is Monday, August 2nd. This is actually the first podcast we've done, I think, in 4 weeks. This is like going on 4 weeks now, where we're actually recording on a Monday, I think, Austin, correct?
Yeah. We
We, we,
pre-recorded a couple because of people's schedule.
Well, we pre-recorded and we almost skipped a podcast twice, and we got yelled at by the listeners that like,
Yeah,
where the fuck's my podcast that I normally get up Monday morning and get to jam out to or listen
you
to?
mean Tuesday morning?
Yeah, I guess it's Tuesday morning. Anyways, who cares about all that? We have a really cool guest on today. We have Mike Crowe. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I'm honored to have you on here, man. So you have a good story. So
Yeah, and that's the whole entire point of Fight Like Hell. As anyone who's maybe this is your first time listening because you know Mike and you wanted to check us out. So the point of Fight Like Hell is we have on guests who have gone through adversity, have gone through trials and tribulations to get to where they are today. And they had to fight like hell. It could be male, it could be female, it could be military related, it could be law enforcement related, it could be medically related. It doesn't matter. Like, we've had authors on, we've had people on who don't lay down and quit. They continue to go through whatever they need to fight like hell to get to where they are today. And I got basically a brief synopsis of what Mike's background is, but not the full details. So this interview is actually going to be awesome because I'm going to get to learn about Mike. Um, and usually before we jump into like the backstory, we'll go over a couple of things and like just bullshit a little bit. Like, Austin, you have a setup with some show notes talking about random Olympic facts. What do you got,
yeah,
dude?
because the Olympics is a big thing that's happening right now. So I put up a couple facts that are interesting. I know a big thing that people are talking about is the beds that were made out of cardboard for all the athletes.
What's
Um,
the story behind that?
so they have beds that are made out of cardboard, and the reason they did it because it's more sustainable, and it's not like your typical cardboard that you think of. It's like a heavy duty cardboard, and they did it just because it's more sustainable and it's easy to get rid of, because you got to think they have to set up over 10,000 beds for these athletes to sleep on. It's not like
That's
they have
insane.
hotels. They're not setting them up in hotels.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, and then another thing I thought was interesting, because of COVID and it's in Tokyo, after the athlete's sport is over, they have 48 hours to leave the country. They can't stay, they can't hang out and watch other sports. They have to leave the country within 48 hours as soon as their sport is over with.
Dude, I got a random one for you guys.
Yeah.
I was listening to Joe Rogan today, and they were talking about that the American girl, the gymnast. Do you guys
Yeah,
know
no,
her name?
I don't know. I know you're talking about, but I don't remember
Controversial
her
or
name.
not controversial? The gal that's big in the news right now, the Simone
Yeah.
Biles.
Yeah,
Yes, Simone
yeah,
Biles.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, um, he was trying to paint her as someone that is stressed out right now and just doesn't want to perform. And part of it is because she has a prescription for Ritalin, and Ritalin is an illegal
Yeah, it's an illegal drug in
it's a
the
narcotic
yeah,
in where's that this year or this year
Tokyo.
Japan, Tokyo,
Yeah,
yeah.
Tokyo.
So in Japan they don't allow you to do Ritalin, and I guess excuse me, in Brazil when she performed she had to get like a special waiver to use it. So they were saying that it's a performance enhancing drug, so she's not allowed to use it. And that's part of the reason that anyone that takes Ritalin, I used to take Ritalin, knows that it makes you super focused. So if you're not at like the top of your game and you're competing at an Olympic level and all of a sudden you have something that's prescribed to you taken away that you're used to using daily for several years or more, how the fuck do you perform? I don't know. It was just a random thing that I saw or listened to today.
Yeah, I mean, that's big in the news right now, the whole Simone Biles thing. And I mean, it's all just crazy. And people are telling her, how what she should do and how she should live her life. but they have no idea what she's going through. Like they don't know anything about her, but they want to tell her how to live her life.
Yeah.
And I think it's just ridiculous. And then a couple other facts I have on here was, they're not allowed. So the Olympic Village is basically their whole grounds of where they're allowed to be, and they're not allowed to leave that at all while they're there for the Olympics because of COVID. And then they weren't allowed to enter the village until 7 days before their event. And they had to quarantine for 14 days outside the village.
Jesus, man.
So I mean, it's
Yeah.
all just crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are your thoughts on the Olympics, Mike?
It's kind of getting tossed around, and the only thing for us non-athletes or non-Olympic athletes is to, take the situation like she was in. And the only parallels that I could take is, say you're in a team sport, and don't get me wrong, I'm making two leaps, but I'm taking kind of the similar concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have a team, and the team is relying on you to do a job. And say it's law enforcement, you guys are about to go clear a building, and you are sitting there, and then you just kind of go, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today, guys. Like this one's on you, and you're like, wait a minute, this is a team competition. Like we need you. And I think for gymnastics, I think they took out the fourth score, so it was still big because it puts a lot of pressure on your other team. So as an athlete or just another team member, like I would hate to put all that pressure on my other three teammates, and expect them to go and finish the competition for whatever reason that she had. I'm just seeing it. Maybe it was a mental breakdown. Maybe it was something, with their medication, something like that. But, all that aside, from a law enforcement standpoint or from anything else, like you can't have, I take a day off, or I'm not going to finish this competition because of a mental thing. So one of those things where I keep tossing around the kitchen table, and I keep telling people, I'm like, there's some jobs and professions where you just literally can't go, I'm going to sit this one out, guys. Like, I apologize. Right. You guys are going to do fantastic without me. You just can't do it. So it's hard for me to wrap my brain around that decision. And I'm sure there's 10,000 other factors that, led into that, but just that right there, letting your team down or letting your teammates down and say that you want to take a little break, or I can't compete, like that would haunt me for the rest of my life. I
Right.
would not be able to move forward if I knew that I did something like that.
Yeah, and especially in the Olympics, where the Olympics is a national televised, very
a worldwide televised,
yeah, media focused event. It's not like some just average event where you're not, it's not that big of a deal. This is the biggest, one of the biggest sports things in the world. So for you to do that, and like you said, Mike, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if that person falls out, and especially because some of these people, have been training for not just 1 year but multiple years to get to the Olympics.
Their entire life.
Yeah, you've been training your entire life to get to this position, and then when your teammates drops out, it's like, well, how are we going to win this now for a short person?
See, I want to come at it from both angles because, being military, being in the special operations community for a little bit and, working in teams. Yeah. There's no taking a sick day off. Like,
yeah, no,
like the only time I've ever seen a guy sit out on a raid was because the dude had fucking food poisoning and, was dehydrated beyond belief. We had to get him to an infirmary. Like, so he missed it because like he physically couldn't be with us. He was shitting and throwing up everywhere. He was a fucking mess. So we just grabbed one of the other recon guys from a different team, threw him in our team, and we did our raid. But so when it comes to like the sports essence, like playing Wounded Warrior hockey and playing hockey growing up, there's been 2 championship games that I was injured and I actually played because like in my mind, like you should play too. Like I'm in your guys' camp on that. But here's where I kind of flip it. We lost both of those championship games. Part of the reason was I wasn't able to perform. And on the second championship game that I was injured, it was a most recent one when I tore my fucking bicep or whatever. I played that game and I was injured, and I went from the number one scoring dude in the league to not even being able to win a face-off or get a shot on net. So like me being on the ice was actually hazardous to my team. So like I almost want to look at it from how like using a narcotic like that makes you so not hyper vigilant,
Hyper-focused.
hyper focused that, you know, maybe not having that ability, and maybe one of those things about the fact that she already holds world records, that she was too either insecure or was trying to do it for the benefit of the team. Like that's the only thing that I would throw in as like a little bit of a caveat to your guys's analysis on it.
Yeah, and that's definitely understandable, especially if you have, you know, already so many gold medals and, you know, world records. You know, you have an expectation to live up to. That, and if you're not performing your best, people are going to wonder, you know, well, what's going on with her? You know, why isn't she? And so she's going to be, you know, criticized for that because she didn't do as good as she could have.
Yeah, I think she's fucked either way, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, whether she goes or not, because like everything is too polarizing. It's you have one camp that believes this, and you have one camp that believes that, and then you have probably about 70% of the people there in the middle that actually are like, you know, like it's kind of a messed up situation, but you know, like maybe she's going through some shit. But it's that 30% that are loud as fuck on social media that are either tearing her apart or boosting her up and have a platform like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Interesting stuff. That was it for Olympic notes, I guess. So we should start getting into this. Mike, you ready?
I think I'm ready. Let's do this.
So the first thing I wanted to bring up was your time on a TV show. We call it The Proposal.
Dude, this blew my mind. When he told me this, I was like, wait, what? Like he was like a contestant?
At first I thought it was The Bachelor. So then I had to go look it up, and I was like, no, I don't think it was The Bachelor. So, but it was called The Proposal. How'd that all happen, Mike?
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Just as quick as you brought it up, I think it's just as quick as like I got on the show and I did that whole process. So that's how like spur of the moment it was, where I had like an agency hit me up and they sent me an email and they're like, hey, we're doing this new show. It's like a spin-off of The Bachelor. Would you like to try it, or would you like to audition for it? And it's one of those things where you just do like a quick, kind of like we're doing now, where you set up a cam and then they just ask you like several questions and then you just kind of give them some basic answers. It lasted no more than 20 minutes and they take that and then they give it to the producers. So I went and I did that and I was like, just for the hell of it, we'll see what happens. And it was maybe about a week later, the lady called me up and she goes, you know what? We want to make you the main guy. We want to make you the number one person. And then these girls or whatever would, you know, just kind of like how The Bachelor set up. So, you know, I'm sitting there going like, you know what? I just did this for like BS to see like what would happen, you know? And then next thing you know, they're like, no, we want you to be the main guy. So
holy shit.
They're like, hey, we want you to come and do they're going to do some like B-roll videos. So they sent a camera crew out to Bakersfield and we did a lot of filming and we did a lot of like questionnaires and pretty much everything like the intro leading into the episode is what we filmed. And then they go, hey, you're going to be down in Warner Brothers studio. I was on the set. I think it was right next to where they filmed Friends. Show of Friends. It was like the same studio. And then I was down there and pretty much they did filming. It lasted about a day. Put me up in a hotel. Met Jesse Palmer and a few other people and went and did that. And I picked a girl and, you know, the rest went from there. You know, we had
how long was it? How long were you on the show for? How long did they have to compete? Like, how many girls did you start with? All that stuff.
I think there was 10 girls. And what happens is it was like a process of elimination where you do a round. I would ask a couple questions. It was kind of like a game show type thing where like, all right, you know, what do you guys think? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Or something on those lines. And then I would go and I would eliminate a certain amount of girls and then just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I guess I'm outside the contract now because I had to sign a contract and I wasn't able to like go on shows like this and discuss it, but that's over now. But they get to the very end and there's 2 girls up there and they actually handed me a ring. And they go, we want you to propose on television. You're going to propose to one of these girls. Like, and they pulled out a $20,000 ring. Like, it was a Neil Lane diamond, like perfectly cut. It was absolutely gorgeous. And they go, we want you to get down on one knee on television and propose to this girl. You know, and no, that's not going to work. And the guy's like, no, the ratings are going to be fantastic. You know, and you're already at this point in, you know, I have my friends down in the front row, and you're like, all right, fuck it. Like, let's do it. So, fair enough, get down on one knee, and I go, you know, hey, will you marry me? And, you know, and I'm sure she was told to say yes and stuff like that. And then we did the whole, like, kissing and fireworks and all that good stuff. And then that was it. Like, and then you go off, and we went on like a date, and then we kind of continued to see each other for like a few months, because they do the filming probably 3 months, 3 or 4 months before they actually air it on television. So
right, so they do all the editing and all that.
All the editing, all that good stuff. And then so like when we got to like the day of the premiere, they brought us back down to Hollywood, and that's when we started doing like the talk show. The daytime, like extra ET, we did a few like radio things, and so we got put onto television, and we did the whole like Ryan Seacrest type thing, and we did all that stuff. So
yeah. Now, were you guys still together? Were you guys actually together when they actually aired, or?
Yeah, we were actually still together, still dating, just having fun. We got a lot of opportunities as far as like, you know, people like want to give us trips. You know, they gave us a trip to Disneyland. I ended up getting like a trip to the Dominican Republic, or I'm sorry, Costa Rica out of it. So we went and we did like a few days out there. So yeah, we kind of just casually dated back and forth, and then it just kind of just as quick as it started, it ended.
I think we need to put Rob on that show, one of those shows that Rob needs.
No comment at this present moment.
Yeah, it was one of those things, man. It was just like, it happened so quickly, and then they're like changed it to where it's like, we want you as the guy, and then you're like thrust into this role. And I'll tell you what, you think you know, having a podcast or having like a big social media audience is huge. Wait till you go on national live television,
right.
And then your whole life gets flipped upside down. Things that you never thought, or things that you forgot that you did 5-10 years ago, get brought up. Like things out of nothing. Like, yeah, when we broke up, like I was getting death threats on Instagram, and people were like, "Oh, you were not good for her," and shit like that. I had people like looking through my videos, and they would notice something. Like I would film my house, and there'd be like a candle or something, and it got moved 2 inches. People were like, "Oh, did you do something to your house? Like I saw this picture of this candle move," you know. People were crap up. Yeah. So it was.
That's crazy.
People get really deep involved in like The Bachelor, those ABC shows.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. And it's funny
there's
because
podcasts that talk about it like after each episode and shit. Like it's crazy deep.
Yeah, and it's funny because because at first I thought it was The Bachelor. So I Googled it, and the only stories that came up was when you and her broke up. Like that's the only thing that came up was you and her broke up.
What's that? Oh yeah. Yeah, you have not had drama until you've been on TMZ. Like
that's all they do is drama.
No, I'm just saying, like, you haven't experienced drama until your life gets plastered up on TMZ, and then that's whole new level stuff.
Jeez. Yeah. Do you still get issues with that to this day, or is that kind of fizzled out?
Issues? No, it's funny we bring this up because I went and got some breakfast a couple days ago, and the server comes over and she goes, "You were on that show, right?" I was like, "What?" You know, and she's like, "No, that ABC, that Bachelor type show." I was like, "That was 3 years ago." Like, and she's like, "Yeah."
I was gonna ask how long ago it was. So 3 years ago it finished.
18.
Okay.
Jeez.
So, but all in all, if I had it again, like I would do it all over again. There's just one of those experiences that you're just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go and do it, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Now, would you go on the actual Bachelor?
Knowing what's going on now, like how television is run and all that, and then the shows and how there's producers talking in your ear. I mean, I would say 80% of the stuff they say or what they do is all BS. And then 20% is them like filling it out, like their conversations and stuff. Because that was kind of, it's scripted improv when you go Like they're like, you ask these questions, you know. Because I want
Did you have like an earpiece in when you were on set?
You have an earpiece in, you have a guy sitting there talking, and he's like has this script in front of him, and he's like, all right, this is the next question you're gonna ask, because they actually sent me questions beforehand, and they go, hey, write out some questions you want to ask the girls. And so I asked some pretty funny ones, like, you know, how do you like your steak? You know, that's the main describe of this relationship's gonna work. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, if you're gonna say well done, like
Right. I want to black all the way around, you know, and completely cook through.
Yeah. Check please, like you're gone.
Right.
So yeah, it was very, they asked some questions or like, you know, if you were shot in the line of duty and, you know, some like, would you be there to save me and pick me up and take care of me in the hot, you know, like I would never ask these questions. Like,
Right.
you know.
Oh my God.
That's
So
Yeah, because probably in your backstory of, you know, being the main person on the proposal, they obviously went into what you were doing for a job and, you know, where you lived. And how far away was the set from where you lived then?
So I was in Bakersfield, California, and then Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California. So it's just an hour and a half drive. It's nothing crazy.
Okay, so nothing that crazy. And then
No.
how long did you have to go in for? I think you said it at the beginning of this. Like, how long was the taping for it?
It was 2 days. We did actually all the taping in one day. But as far as they had me there for 2 days, you had to go through new wardrobe and kind of go, like they kind of walk through, and then there's a lot of promo stuff. So like they film you, like they took us to a hotel room, and then they did like pictures, and they did like, you know, what are you expecting in a lady, and all this other, you know, BS and stuff like that. And so that kind of dragged it out. But as far as the main principal filming, it was only 1 day.
And then how many episodes do they turn something into like that?
So they turned it into one episode.
Okay, so it was only one episode, because like I'm thinking of like The Bachelor, where they actually do
multiple episodes.
Like that's where I'm disconnected on this. That's why I'm asking these weird questions, I guess.
Yeah, so it was more like a game show type of setup. So think of it as like, you know, you have one, they turned into 1 hour. You know, we filmed it over 5 or 6 hours. But it's more like, hey, you got the contestants, and then one by one you eliminated in a group of 2 or 3. And then at the very end of that 1 hour episode, then I go down and I propose to her, and
That's
it's like, hey,
fucking crazy.
I was told
that's crazy. Like, how do I think something like that's gonna work long term? Like, you knew the girl for fucking 5 hours, man. That's not fair.
I asked her, you asked her questions.
Oh my God.
What they proposed to me, like that before I did the filming and stuff, was completely 100% different than what I actually was. Because when I got there, like, and they told me, hey, this is how it's gonna go. Like, I'm sitting there like, no one's gonna watch this shit. Like, this is terrible. I don't even watch these type of programs, and I know this is not going to work. So like,
oh my God,
guys, and trust me, Hollywood has a lot of crazy ideas of what they think, like, oh yeah, this is going to be the next big thing, and yada yada. And I knew from like the first 2 minutes of filming, like, no, this is absolutely asinine. Like, this is not gonna and this is not gonna, you know, there's nothing gonna go out of this, you know. But they have their script. You got to kind of stick with it and kind of go with the program, and then you kind of just make it into what, you know, what you want to do. But let's say it's like, so they did the whole season. Like, they actually filmed like 5 or 6 other people beforehand, and then they chose us. They're like, we liked your episode. We really liked your guys' connection. We're going to put you guys number 1. So we literally started that whole series. We were number 1 right after the NBA finals on like Sunday night. Maybe it was after the Bachelor. Whatever, she like picked her. So it was like the season finale of The Bachelor, and then they introed us into, oh, this whole new wave of dating in less than an hour, shit like that. And it was like literally right after. So like all the audiences from The Bachelor stayed, you know, put it for another, you know, just another hour afterwards. So you got all those people watching it, and It
Dude,
took off.
That's good though. Like that definitely would help with your ratings, especially that pilot episode.
Yeah, we were the pilot episode, and yeah.
How many seasons do it have now? Just one.
One. It didn't last.
It didn't last.
One and done.
I don't think you can stream it on Netflix or Hulu.
Really?
Like they took it down.
They're like, this is a terrible idea.
Like, we regret this one. Like,
so I have a question. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, do they pay you for that, or like, how does that work?
I did get compensated, so I made almost like 10K for doing that.
That's not bad. That's not bad for one day work.
2 days of work, technically.
Okay, but the question is, was that worth it for all the media that you got?
I would say it comes with anything big that you do. It's going to come with the criticism. Right. It's going to come with the attacks and stuff like that. So, like, would I do that experience all over again? Like, absolutely. So, if it comes with that, then okay. If it comes with the criticism, like, I would do it again. So, is it worth it? Sure. Yeah. No, is it worth it to a degree where I'm getting death threats and people are like, "Oh my God, you guys shouldn't have broken up and I'm going to kill you" and stuff like that? Like, no, but.
Right.
That's BS when you get those things on Instagram.
Yeah,
messages.
I mean, there's trolls on the internet, no matter what.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I figured we'd start with that since it was a interesting and kind of funny story. So, the next thing is, I want to go into your backstory. Who are you? What have you done?
Okay. So I was born and raised in Bakersfield. Went to high school there. I went to the University of Arizona in Tucson, and I went and got my bachelor's there. Got it in public admin, and then I minored in business. And literally right before graduation, that's when I got the call from BPD. I went through the hiring process, and they go, "Hey, we want to tentatively give you a job offer." So that was literally that's my very first job right out of college. Wow. Was going back and being a cop. So went and got my degree, immediately went back to my hometown, and then went through the academy. I think it was about 6 or 7 months. And then that's when all the craziness happened. It was the 24 hours before I was supposed to go 10-8 onto shift. That was supposed to start my first shift. I was playing in like adult league volleyball, and we went and played. It was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but we'd finished up and driving home, and I had a motorcycle at the time, a Suzuki SV 650, and driving home middle lane, going the speed limit, 40 miles an hour, and a teenage girl, texting and driving, came out and T-boned me right there on my bike. I came up, did a couple somersaults, but I was able to actually like hang on to the bike, or I came down on top of the bike, rode it like a boogie board for about 250 feet. And when I came to a stop, I kind of realized, I was like, oh shit, like I'm okay. I'm like, search my body. I didn't have 1 ounce of road rash. Like nothing else was broken. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I made it, because I didn't feel any pain. And then I looked down, and my foot was just dangling by a piece of skin. So it was completely severed at the middle of the calf down. So it was completely severed. And what happened was her bumper came, and when she T-boned me, it actually collided with my foot. It jammed my foot in there, and it literally just exploded. So it exploded on impact, and then that's where kind of just dangling by a piece of skin when I got up. They rushed me to the hospital. I was there for about 2 weeks, did about 11, 12 surgeries. They were able to reattach my foot, but I only had feeling in about 2 or 3 toes, and I didn't have full mobility in the ankle. So we kept doing these like revision surgeries to see like, okay, how are we going to fix it? Do you want to save it? What's life going to be like? And I was talking about 3 or 4 doctors, and they said like, hey, there's about a 50% chance that we can save it, but you probably won't go back to your normal activities. Like we could have a successful surgery. You can take 1 step and then it completely snaps. Like that's with a successful surgery. So I was just sitting there. I took a 1976 quarter. I still have that this quarter to, this day, and flipped it, landed on tails. So I amputated. It was that simple.
Oh,
Doctor,
wow.
So I took that.
How old were you? How old were you when this all happened?
23.
Oh, geez,
23?
you're young.
And how old are you now?
I'm 32 now.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow,
So,
man.
March 22nd, 2012. That was the date that will live in my infamy. So, so yeah, there. So we amputated it, and one of those things when you have a traumatic injury, you don't realize the extent of the damage until it sets in. So like I thought when I had the surgery, like I was gonna be good. Like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go in PT, like get some physical therapy done. Like I want to be solid. And then I got home from the hospital, and my dog, at the time it was a West Highland Terrier, a little dog, so it's down on the ground. And I went just to go and pet it, and my crutch slipped out, and so I went right down on my nub, which was being held in by staples at the time, hit that, blood splattered everywhere. And then that's the moment where I knew, like, I'm not okay. Like, things are not going to get better, because normally you would think, all right, I'm just going to put my foot there to brace my fall, but my foot wasn't there, and so that's when everything started spiraling, out of control. And it was actually the time of the Summer Olympics, 2012 Summer Olympics. And I'm sitting there watching the runners.
In London, right? That was in London.
Yeah, London. Was it in London? The Summer
It was
Olympics?
in London. I was living in Europe then. That's the only reason why I remember that time frame.
But they had the runners sitting there doing like the 100-meter sprints. And I looked up the TV and I was like, I will be able to do that again. I can't run. I'm sitting there with just one foot, and I haven't been fitted with the prosthetic yet. So that's where all the depression, suicidal thoughts, literally that was my lowest point, because I'm sitting there going, I'm not going to get back to my normal form. Like I just got done with the police academy. Like I was already in, fantastic shape. I was, running like 7-minute miles, 25 pull-ups at a time. Like my PT was like off the charts. And then you sit there and like, I can't even hop to the bathroom because I'm out of breath. I'm done. That's it. And luckily I relied on a lot of friends and family that kind of got me by. But I had there was a few scary situations that I had. And, there was a couple, I had a second mom at the time, and she was the district attorney over at in Kern County. And she was like second mom. I knew her since I was 3 years old. And she actually had to come over, and I don't think I've ever told the story before, but I had my gun in my hand, and, she had to talk me down. And it was just like, I kind of remember that situation, but it was like some really low moments, some low points. And, they 100% helped me out. And I'd like to say that it saved my life. So it was going through that for about a couple months, and then reaching out to other amputees is what started the drive to, okay, I can do this. Because when I set in my mind, like, you have a goal or a task, like, I am laser focused, or I almost treat it like a bet. Like, hey, I don't think you're gonna be able to do this, like recover and get back to there. It's like, well, screw you, watch me, motherfucker, watch me do this. And that's what I did. I just I started training as if someone had bet me that I couldn't get back to work. And 6 months, it took me 6 months from the accident to going back 10-8. I was back in uniform, passed all my physicals, and then I was back on the streets in the 6 months.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I know that we had one of our friends on here, Jordan, who's also missing a limb, and that's what he said too. He said his best thing he could have done is be around like-minded people who are missing limbs or in situations like that, because it's easy to relate to those people, because when you're in that situation and if they can do it, that you can do it too, because they've been through the same experiences. So I mean,
or worse. I mean, that was like one of the
worse.
things that Jordan harped on, was like his story didn't make him feel as bad. He actually felt worse for some of the other guys. And I'm sure in your scenario too, Mike, like you probably have worked with people or become friends with people that have either less of a traumatic story or more of a traumatic story that kind of like meld you guys as almost like family, like a brother or sisterhood.
Yeah. And kind of go back to that story. There was a guy, there was a veteran, a Marine, got his, everything. He had his both legs and then one of his arms blown off. And he sent me a video. He's like, "Hey man, I just got done with my workout." Like, and we started talking for a little bit. And he was like, "I got to pull over. I'm driving my car." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you lost 2 legs, arm, and you're driving? Like, what are you talking about?" He's
Wait,
like,
what?
Yeah, over here in my Jeep Wrangler or whatever.
Don't you know I'm a cop?
Well, no, it wasn't that. I'm just sitting there going like, wait a minute, how is he driving? Like, listen, two legs and an arm. It's like, I know technology at the time, like it wasn't like a Tesla where, something you can hook up to your brain and he's driving, down the road. So I'm like, wait a minute, how you doing that? And he sent me his workout video, and it's like he's doing CrossFit box jumps. And he's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this on the free time and stuff like that, and going around and doing a couple comps." And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm looking at my one leg. I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. I literally have nothing to complain about. And I'm in awe of this guy doing this type of work and workout. And I'm sitting here hussing and fussing over like me missing a foot. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, get off your ass. Like, and so that was one of those things where it's just like, I have nothing to complain about. Guys are 10 times worse and still kicking ass, taking names. So there's no reason for me to complain. I literally have no reason to get up there and be like, oh, poor me and stuff like that. Never once. And then from there on out, nope, somebody else has it worse than me. So I need to shut up and put my head down and keep working.
Yeah. And I think that's it's a good way to look at things too, because, anyone that we've had on, or, Austin's backstory, my backstory, we've all had like traumatic or super fucked up things that happened to us. But one of the things that's always been like a driving force for myself, and you just narrated in yours, is, I end up meeting people by sharing that story that I'm like, holy fuck, that person's got like 10 times worse than me. And they seem to be fine as fuck. Like, they're doing great. Like, why the fuck are you bitching? Like, I literally did a Snapchat today saying something about like, stop fucking complaining, get the work done, something like that. And then I also mentioned that we were going to have you on the podcast below. So like, it's all about mental toughness, I guess, is what it comes down to, because, you can either lay down and just be like, oh, woe is me, or you can fucking get after it. And like, dude, you look like you're in hella good shape, like right now. And from what I saw on Instagram, you look like you're in great shape, man. So like, you're obviously working hard. My question to you though is, when did the prosthetic come into play? How long was that before you got a prosthetic?
So it took actually maybe about a month and a half, 2 months after my surgery is when I first got fitted for a prosthesis, and that was kind of hell in itself. You gotta learn to walk again. You literally have to learn all the normal steps all over again. Luckily for me, I think I was able to kind of grasp it. Like, it was great that I was in good physical shape leading up to the surgery. So it's like I already had that kind of athlete's mentality as far as, that muscle memory, or as far as like how to run, how to jump, how to do certain things. So it's like, as soon as the leg went on, it was like, all right, I hit the ground running. So I was able to actually run 2 days after I got my prosthesis.
Jesus.
Not recommended. Do not do that. Do not, I think I'm just the one special case, because it's like, okay, I was able to do that, but then there's still a lot of little things that happened afterwards. Like, I got a lot of hot spots. I got a lot of skin breakdown. I had a lot of pain that happened because I rushed it. I rushed the recovery. So, it's great that I was able to get back, because as soon as you get that leg, man, life turns around for you. Like, everything is like a light that goes on and goes like, okay, now I can see these steps starting to formulate, and I'm starting to get I got my legs back, I got my feet underneath me again. So you're able to kind of move forward. But, that was a slow process, as far as, it probably took me about 3 to 4 months to get used to that, because I would go to physical therapy in the morning for about 3 hours. I'd turn around and go to the gym for another 2 to 3 hours with one of my best friends, because he owned a gym at the time. So like, I was doing almost about 5 to 6, maybe 7 hours a day for 7 days a week of physical therapy to get back to, being a cop. So like I had a mission, I had a goal, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And, you know, I held that routine all the way through. And so I think that helped out with the recovery. But I know there's another guy in San Bernardino. Him and I are pretty good friends. He like, if there's a record to be beat, he came back to work, I think about 4.5 months.
Wow.
He got an accident on his way to work and leg amputated. I went and visited him in the hospital, and I told him about my recovery. He's like, watch me, dude. 4.5 months later,
That's fucking
back
cool.
in uniform playing. So, or
Wow.
back in uniform, back on the streets. So, yeah, doing good.
You keep bringing up sports. So, what sports did you play before your injury, and are there any sports that you're playing after?
So I was a soccer guy. Actually, I was actually a scrawny dude. I was a scrawny kid. I was maybe 5'8" or 5'8", about 160 pounds, soaking wet. Like when I went to college. So I was a small, scrawny dude. So soccer, a little bit of running. But soccer was like my main sport, and I did golf too, and a little bit of football. But that was like my main thing. So I was really aware of, you know, how to train for that. I did club, try to get onto the college team and stuff like that. So I kind of knew that. I mean, I always treat everything as like an athlete's mindset, because even when you're training for like law enforcement, you know, you almost have to have an athlete's type of mindset going into that training. You know, you got to have your rest, you got to have your weights, you got to have your nutrition. Like that's just like an athlete. So.
Yeah, I wish all law enforcement officers had something like that, because I went through the academy years ago and was hired on to be a sheriff, and some of the people that made it through, it was kind of laughable what the PT standards were, especially coming from like a special operations background to going into the academy. Granted, this was in Florida. I don't know if Bakerfield's like a tougher academy, but I don't know. I think that being a police officer is probably one of the toughest jobs in the entire world, especially in today's climate. And having your physical fitness up and your mental health in check are probably the two biggest components that are needed to help, you know, have good law enforcement and, you know, maybe less small bad apples that, you know, paint this illustration of cops being bad, when the reality is it's a very small percentage. It's not the whole entire police force or whatever. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know the standards, I mean, Cal Post and stuff, like those standards are pretty low. And I know our department had higher standards. So I think I think like a 10 or 15% rule where it's like, you had Post, and then it's like, these are our department standards. There wasn't any requirement as far as like the physical fitness, but I remember our department, they put a pretty big emphasis on, hey, like look the part kind of thing. So it's like they had, you know, competitions and stuff, weightlifting competitions. They had run competitions within our department, and then they put plaques and stuff up on the wall. So it was kind of like, hey, we want to, you know, honor these guys that are, you know, I'm not gonna say do what they're supposed to do, but they want to, you know, keep up with their fitness goals and stuff. So,
what's some of your favorite styles of workout right now?
Actually, so I'm in the strongman stuff right now.
Okay, cool.
Competition back in November of last year. Absolutely fell in love with it. I think I ended up getting like 5th. I think there was like 8 or 9 guys. I ended up getting 5th. And actually, I tore some of my lat during part, or it's a one-on-one. You put a stick in the middle. The guys you're just trying to pull it. And I actually ended up beating the guy who got first place in the competition. But halfway through my event with him, actually, you know, tore some of my lat. So I had to, you know, take myself out. So I wasn't able to do like, I think 2 of the events. And ended up getting 5th anyway. So I was like, I'll take that as a win, you know. So I was able to recover a little bit. But yeah, that strongman stuff is next level. It's just fun, you know.
Oh yeah.
I've done the CrossFit styles. I've done the normal. Let's try to, you know, rep out 315, or hey, let's try to put 450 on the bench and let's see how we do it. You know, kind of, we'll say the bro type of workout plan.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's a combination of both. I like taking the bro style, like, all right, we'll do 1 or 2 reps at 415. Now let's bring it down to a functional type of training where you got 30 seconds and you're going all out on battle ropes, or you throw, a 50-pound sack and then you got to, haul ass for, 100 yards or something like that, where you get the functional training. You're still going to get the muscle growth, from doing the bro workouts, but you get the cardiovascular training from doing stuff like that, or doing, 20, 30 reps of something, if it's or dumbbell press or, overhead press and stuff like that. So, hey, if I get called on or they have to rely on me, then it's like I can pull my weight kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I take it you watch the Worlds then.
I'm sorry?
Do you watch World's Strongest Man then?
I do watch World's Strongest.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Strongman and all they have to do. Big fan of Brian Shaw and Robert Oberst and all those professional strongmen out there.
I got to meet Brian Shaw, and
that guy is a giant.
I feel like a midget. Like
I bet
that guy is huge. TV and video does no justice until you see that man in person. And it's like, yeah, he ate 2 of me like in the foot-long sandwiches like before he came in, like went to the events. Like the guy is massive.
Well, yeah, he's what, 6'7", like 420 pounds.
Yeah, it's just unreal, those guys that you see on television, and it's just like, how are you guys moving? And like, and then they can do it at that level, and they put football players to shame. That's how big they are.
They're giant.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but they're healthy. Like they're that big, but they're healthy.
I think for the most part, I mean,
there's a level of unhealthiness.
Yeah.
Like every single strongman, has a CPAP machine they sleep with.
Right. And a lot of guys talk about that. There's like, hey, there's competition weight, like there is in any sport, right? You get yourself up to a certain weight, like football players. They get themselves up and they're like 30, 40 pounds for season. And then, when these guys retire or they're done, they're like, oh man, I don't have to do all this stuff. And then they shrink up because that's what their normal body.
Yeah. Well, look at the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Look at Thor. He's lost a lot of weight because he's not doing strongman anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a freaking giant, but I mean, he has a 6-pack and everything.
Yeah, some of those guys, man, they just like, hey, it's unhealthy for me to keep going at this rate, so they just and it's like, man, it's pretty astonishing. But that's what I'm hooked on right now is strongman stuff and getting those altless stones and putting them up on the counter and then putting them in the yoke carry. Putting 500, 600, 700 pounds on your back, and then walking it for 10, 15 yards, and it's cool because I'm putting new stresses and I'm doing some new things, against my prosthetic and seeing how it holds up.
Yeah, did you watch that? Did you watch their TV show?
I did. It was on the History Channel or whatever.
Yeah,
Viking.
The strongest men in history.
Yeah, it was okay.
He's not enamored with this like you are, Austin. You're geeking out way too hard. Like he's like, I live this shit. I don't need any fucking idols. I'm my own fucking idol.
I am my own, yeah. No, not
Mike.
Like that.
Mike, what do you weigh in at? You said you're 5'8".
Oh no. So that was before I had my growth spurt. So I didn't start growing until like the end of college. So I was about 5'8", $160, soaking wet, going into college, and then so right now I'm about 6 foot and about 210, 215.
It's what Rob wishes he was.
Yeah, no, I'm literally like, I think I weighed in the other day. I think I'm 5'8" and I'm 161 right now. So it makes me fast on ice, but dude, I get fucking wrecked when people hit me because like I play center. So like I'm constantly in front of the net, getting slashes, getting hit, getting knocked over. So I have to like get my skates out really far, but people just beat the shit out of me. And when you're talking about stuff, my workouts are all functional fitness, like kettlebell, like what On It is? Like On It,
I've heard of it.
It's a company that Joe Rogan partially owns, and it's all like wellness and kettlebell fitness and anything that you can do that's functional for your body. It like creates good stability in your shoulders and your back and your legs and shit like that. But it keeps me fucking skinny and lean, and it doesn't really put on any size. But when you're talking about like all this like strongman stuff, I'm like, maybe I should start lifting heavy too. Maybe it'll help me size up.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to size up over there.
It's everything's done in moderation. So I'm not walking into a gym going, let's throw 500-600 pounds as if I'm doing a competition, in a couple of weeks. It's a lot of kind of just normal weight put on there, and then just kind of get the body, get the muscles, make sure they're activating. And I think in the last couple of years, I've really hit the recovery aspect of it. So like I go to the chiropractor maybe once or twice every week, doing a lot of the cryotherapy. Started doing IV treatments where go and they give you like IV supplements as far as, getting your fluids back with some vitamins. What was the other thing? I got like this Uller. That's probably the greatest invention that ever came out. It's underneath your mattress, and chills your mattress to like, I put it down to about 65. So I sleep under the covers and it's 65 consistent throughout the night. So I have a consistent temperature while I get into that deep REM sleep. Like it is absolutely perfect.
I want to get one of those. I've been looking at those.
Oh, it 100% worth it. 100%.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like I freeze to death.
Well, you can change it. So like you can go 65 and then like you can crank that thing up to 110. So, and they have two sides to it. So like you have one side and then your significant other is over on the other side, and they both have remotes and they both have coolers for it. So, and then diet has been, I've cut out all junk food. Will not do any more fast food.
You don't eat your Reese's anymore?
I don't do the Reese's anymore.
Come on, man. That was like your staple.
That was my main thing. And every once in a while I'll have like those Reese's sticks. Like that's crap.
Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite.
Man, I'll
that
have
and Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, dude. Yep.
Yeah.
It's salivating at the mouth right now thinking about it. I'm like, I got to run to the store.
You should do the 75 hard, man. You should do the 75 hard. You should do the 75 hard. Like it sounds like you're already doing some of it. So have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
It's a program that both him and I started, and I ended up backing out like day 48 or 49. But Austin actually completed it, and it is you do 2 workouts a day. You do no junk food, no cheat meals, no drinking. You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. Austin, help me.
Yeah, so and then you have to drink a gallon of water a day and take a progress picture every day, and it has to be 2 45-minute workouts, and one of them has to be
outdoors. Yeah,
and it's for
Sounds
75 days.
Like a wellness type of thing, where
it's a mental health and just overall wellness challenge.
Personally, coming from like a personal trainer background, when I was in my 20s or whatever, I think the program was kind of like designed for people there, for lack of better words, a little bit overweight and are trying to like lose weight and try to gain discipline and create like a workout structure. Because 2 key things that you hit on that a lot of people fuck up with their workout stuff is a rest plan and nutrition. And we've talked about it like time and time again on this podcast. And I didn't like the program because there's 0 fucking rest days. Like you don't get any time down. Like 2 workouts a day is fucking ridiculous. So
that seems a little extreme for the workout side of it. Actually, I get more benefit for the more rest days I have, and it's super counterintuitive to what you grew up doing, and like your body feel like I have to do. It's like active rest days. Like I'll do some cardio to get my heart rate up to probably about $120, $130, and then I stretch. That's my workout. And that's my active rest day. And then the other days I'm hitting the weights pretty hard, but it's like, I have to let my body recover because it's like, I don't feel that muscle repair. Like it doesn't feel like it's, repairing or regenerating to where I can go hardcore the next day, so I have to have that 2 or 3 days of rest throughout the week. And I've noticed it. It's huge, and those people are not lying when they talk about nutrition being the number one thing, then rest and sleep as being the next biggest thing. And you're like, no, I'm hardcore. I don't need that crap. And it's like, that is the biggest.
Right. I mean, look at professional athletes, and what's in Armstrong, Neil Armstrong, the guy who did the Tour de France.
Oh,
He
Lance.
did
What?
Lance Armstrong. I knew it was
Wait,
Armstrong
I was
something.
like, motherfucker,
I was
you
like, that
talking
doesn't sound
about a
right.
guy that went to the moon?
Whatever.
Yeah,
Lance Armstrong.
Jesus, Austin, show us you don't like sports, why don't you?
Anyways, he was
That
talking
might
about
be.
like during his prime, he would
Lance.
make sure to get 9 hours of sleep every single night. When he was doing his races.
He was also doping, but they
I was gonna
also
say,
said,
the testosterone and the blood transfusion that he was doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Races.
Dude, I think there's like the first 25 finishers of the Tour de France all were blood doping or something like that. You have to go like 27 down to get to an actual clean winner from like that era. It's something absurd. So like I mean, I don't know. Like if it's illegal and you're doing performance enhancing, like I don't necessarily support it unless, it's something that's allowed in the sport. But
or you like the Russian Federation and just have a trap door and the test.
yeah,
they don't
Did you guys
care.
see what was that documentary?
Icarus.
Icarus.
Yeah.
Yeah, where that dude accidentally figured out that the entire Russians Olympic team, except for the figure skaters, were doping.
Yeah.
And the only reason
Russia doesn't care.
The only reason why the figure skaters weren't doing it was fucking them up. Like they couldn't they lost their ability to have really good agility. So they had to stop the program on that. And now, currently, the Russia does not have an Olympic team. They have athletes that went from Russia, and they're considered as like ROC or something like that. RAC, Russian athlete.
Yeah.
Wait, what was it? You cut out.
The Russian Olympic Committee, ROC.
Yeah, ROC. Yeah, so fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's Russia for you.
Yeah, don't say too much. We'll get attacked by them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to your story about being a cop. Because you had some pretty crazy stuff happen to you.
So I think everybody does. Yeah.
Huh?
I think everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, so another thing, a couple of things I want to ask is what was your favorite part? I mean, so to clarify, you are no longer a cop right now, correct?
Yeah. So I'm no longer I'm no longer employed with the with Bakersfield Police Department. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we'll get into that. But what was your favorite part of being a cop?
I think for me it was the connection that I did with the kids. I did a lot of giving back. I did a lot of school presentations. I did a lot of events with the little ones, just kind of combine that relationship and kind of connect those kids and start them young as far as, hey, we're just normal guys. Like we're just normal people. Right. Like we're literally, as soon as you take this off, like we're just like your teacher. We're just like your mom and dad. Like we're just regular and ordinary, people. And guess what? Like we can interact with you. We can have fun. Like I would go and do a kindergarten class. It's a missing gingerbread man. So I'd literally do a missing persons report with their gingerbread, and I'd say, hey, what did he look like? And they tell, white hair with the, the different colored buttons. And I actually would do a broadcast on the radio as if it was a missing person because the kids absolutely loved it, and then I'd go to the other side of the campus and I'd bring them along. Like, hey, I think I found your missing gingerbread man. And I had everything laid out as if it was like a traffic accident. And so the kids had to figure out as far as how did the gingerbread man like lose, his leg. His leg was over on the corner. And they're like, oh, he was riding a bicycle. Oh, he's going too fast. He was doing like this. And you can relate all that stuff as far as your job with these kids. And they just absolutely loved it. And
that's
I did that
super cute, man.
Almost every year around Christmas time with those kids. So every year, a group of kindergartners, I'd come in and it'd be, hey, the missing gingerbread man. And I did a lot of stuff like that with the kids.
That's cool.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and it just shows like kids in general that cops aren't bad. Like you said, you're just regular people. Just because you're wearing, a badge doesn't make you special compared to anybody. You're still just a regular person like anybody else.
Yeah, and these are kindergartners, and they picked it up, and they understood everything that I was saying. They understood as far as, hey, the gingerbread's gone missing or whatever, and then you can relate it to real world. Like, hey, if you lose sight of your parents or you don't know where are you going to call? Well, it's okay to call the cops, and then we'll try to, find your parents. Or hey, guess what? It's okay to go and ask for help if it's your teacher, to try to, get back to where you are. Um, so it's like there's a lot of things that you can relate to real life just with those things, and they pick it up. It's astonishing what they pick up. So that was probably the coolest part, was doing those kinds of things. And I'd have the car, and they'd go and walk through the car, and have them turn on the siren. I'd have them play with some of my equipment, and it's just blown away, and they loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the part that irritates me the most is when parents, use cops as, being in trouble, because they're like, a lot of parents are like, oh, I'm going to call the cops. You're going to get taken away if you do that. Or, don't make me call the cops, if you do something bad. And that paints kids as to be afraid of cops or not wanting to call on cops if they need help because they think they're going to be in trouble.
I'd always turn around. I didn't get in trouble for it, but mom's like, oh, if you're not good, I'm going to call Officer Crowe over here. I was like, you know what? I think you're going to be the first to be arrested, or the first one to have some charges against you.
Right.
I'm stupid to even get to this point, And so I would always turn it around on them, because I hated that. I hated hearing that crap.
Yeah. It's,
like, oh, the cops going to come and arrest you, if you don't go to school. It's like, no, you know what? I think it's a parent problem with truancy. So guess what?
Right.
That fine's going to be, at your doorstep with with a call from the, the school. So it's like, it's not the child's problem. It's yours.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So,
well, I would say the only thing that would add to that makes it worse are parents that have this ideology that all cops are bad and that they need to be defunded and shit like that. If anything, more funds need to be poured into these agencies for better training and better outreach to the general public, like you were doing with the school. Like that's a huge program, because then those kids, like, I have a closer relation. Like my girlfriend has a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, and one's in kindergarten, one's in first grade. So like to them, like the other day they found out that that was a firefighter. And they had like 100 questions, and this was back in the day. It was like 10 years ago. They had like 100 questions and like why I wasn't still doing it, or would I ever do it again? And it's just funny because like kids at that age are so impressionable and so much more intelligent than we, like, as someone who doesn't personally have kids but dates someone that has kids. um you learn so much from them by teaching them things. Like it's crazy. And that's probably like some of your experience too. Like you got to like teach them your job, and then you got to see probably some of the most interesting responses from their little minds that are growing. So I think it's cool, man. It's
yeah, and mostly they were all positive. Like,
yeah,
I get a couple of occasional kind of like, I think at the time it was the whole hands up, don't shoot type thing. So I had a couple of kids that were doing that, and and I always, when they did that, I go, field goal is good. Like you just scored like a field goal, and good job.
Right.
Like the field goal is good. And you just move on. But for the most part, like everybody was pretty nice, open. You get what was the, have you ever shot your gun before? Like you always get that question.
Right. Yeah.
Play with that thing, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that more comes, like you said, the hands up thing. I think that more comes down, like you said, the parents than anything. But so let's go back into your story about why you're no longer a cop, if you want to
if you want to dive into that, because you kind of like preface that at the beginning and blew our minds a little bit.
Yeah, so like I was with BPD for about 8 years, and it was about February of 2020 is when I quit. Leading up to that, I think it was about 2016. I was in traffic division, so doing DUI investigations and traffic incidents. And I came across, there was a supervisor, and I was the DUI car for Midnights. And this kind of what started everything as far as the animosity and stuff. And I had this other supervisor in the unit, and always micromanaging me. Don't understand why, but he was just going after me. He wasn't even my direct supervisor. And at the time, I was actually I was setting records as far as getting DUIs. Our unit was kicking ass, taking names, and there was only 4 of us. And I actually set the record for the most DUIs in one shift. In one 10-hour shift, I arrested and booked 6 people. So I got 6 DUI arrests and actually did the investigation in one 10-hour shift. Like, I kicked ass and took names. So, you go and you take the report. Well, as soon as you book the guy in the jail, the next guy is calling you up, or you hear something on the radio, and you go and you take the next call. So I was just hustling, and you turn in like these called DS-367 forms, and it's got their ID and their temporary license and what their blood alcohol content was. I turned that in and then went home and finished the report the next day. And that's what everybody in the unit was doing. But for some odd reason, this supervisor just wanted to go after me and going like, "Oh, your reports need to be done that day." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're pointing this out like right now, and then everybody else in the unit, everybody else is taking the report home, and that's fine." And I wasn't missing a case. Like, nothing was getting interrupted. Like, you just wake up the next day because you get off at 4 a.m. I'd sleep and then get up, start typing reports. But the guy just kept coming after me. And he started to convince a couple other supervisors or whatever that I was just this complete screwball. And he tried to go after me for, I think it was almost 2 weeks suspension for just those reports. And like, it was one of those things where you're just like, hold up, 2 weeks? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm kicking ass and taking DUI, drug drivers off the streets. Now you want to give me a suspension for 2 weeks because the report's not done at a certain time, even though everybody in our unit is doing that. And I was the only one that got called out. And later I find out through depositions, that was the word I was trying to say, through depositions, this guy had hard on for me, just was going after me, was taking my reports, changing dates on it to make it seem like I was turning it in later, was holding reports. And this is actually the same guy. I was telling you that gingerbread man story, and this is the last year that I did it. I sent a request and I go, "Hey, on my off time, I'm going to go over to the school and do the missing gingerbread man. I've been doing it for the last, 4 years." He said no. He didn't approve it. He just let it sit on his desk for 2 weeks. And then he goes like, "No, you got this request to me too late. Like, I'm going to deny your ability on your own time to go over there to that school and do the gingerbread man presentation." And that's where everything just went downward from there. They tried to get me the 2-week suspension. I fought it. I had a phone call. I had actually a lot of people, a lot of sergeants, lieutenants, had a heart-to-heart with them because it was like, "Hey, I don't agree with this punishment, but the culture is you take it in the butt and you move on. You take it in the rear, you take your licks and you move on." And at that decision, at that time, I made the decision, nope, I'm going to stand up. I do not believe this is right. I don't believe I'm deserving of 2 weeks suspension. So, it goes up to the chief, it goes to the captain, goes to the chief, and they kept going like, "Oh, we'll take off like 2 days suspension or whatever. Like, all right, sign this piece of paper admitting your guilt." Like, no, like, I'm still not going to take 6 days when I'm sitting there taking DUIs off the street. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I ended up going to like the city attorney, and we had like a hearing. And at that point, boom, big old target back of my head. So any policy violation, anything, they were just looking. And it got to the point where it's like, they were trying to like do stuff to get me fired. Like, doing stuff where like, "All right, hey, you didn't turn in this one thing," or "Hey, you didn't do this one thing," or "Your investigation was screwed up." And they tried to fire me. And then that's when I was like, "Oh, okay, hold on." And I got the attorney, and then we actually filed a lawsuit and disability discrimination because they started going after me. And as soon as I filed, they came back and they go, "Oh, no, we'll take away the discipline and we'll just give you a verbal warning." Like, what? Like,
yeah, because it's going to cost them money. So they're like, "Oh, no."
All that crap. And then you guys change it to a verbal warning? And he goes, yeah, you're good, verbal warning. And, "Hey, how's that lawsuit coming along?" It's like, I don't know. Like, you guys just took this away and gave me a verbal warning. So I went back to work, and then I think it was about 2018, 2019, same thing. just started coming up, started getting all these like IA inquiries. And it was find out another lieutenant just hated my guts. And it was the same lieutenant back in 2016 that signed off on the 2 weeks punishment. So, like, son of a bitch. So he was the one heading up all these different things, all these inquiries, and that stuff builds on you. Like, you go to work, you have the public against you, and now you have everybody from the office against you. And I think a lot of people may have gone through this, but it's a double toxic where you got to go out there and you got to put on a face for the public, and then you got to turn around and put on a face for command staff. And when you have that target on your back, people change. People don't talk to you. People don't associate with you. People don't want to like be on your calls with you. Like, people, they want to get away from you because you're considered toxic, and you could be totally right in what you're doing and believe in your own cause. But if the command staff say like, no, you got to stay away from this guy. And it came out in the depositions that they actually told people, hey, stay away from Mike. He's not good right now. Like, some things are coming down on him. Like, he's got a couple IA things. And you're just like, how do you tell other officers not, and you kind of get a little scared going like, oh shit, are you guys going to, like, if I had to get to a 148, which is a fight with the suspect, are you guys going to come get my back? Like, you guys going to come help me? And it just, a lot of that stuff starts playing in your head and you're just going absolutely nuts. And so then we brought back the lawsuit. We kept it going. And then that's when we had the deposition. I got all those command staff, all those sergeants, all those lieutenants, and they got to go in there and they got to tell the truth, And so I'm reading all these transcripts and I'm just like, ooh, like, you're pissed off, you're mad, and then you're also sad at the same time. You're just like,
right,
man, I'm busting my ass, and then these guys don't give a damn. They don't give a shit,
Yeah, I mean, you're all supposed to be in this together. Like when you join the police force, you're supposed to be all in this together. You're supposed to be like a family and, a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And then, like you said, when you read all these things, you're like, well, what the fuck's going on then?
Yeah. And you read all that stuff, and then you're just like, they start out the deposition and they're like, oh yeah, Mike's a great employee. We're so proud of him in this story. Like, it's amazing what he's come up from. And then my attorney, like, throughout the deposition was like, okay, so why did you do this to Mike? Why did you do this to Mike? You didn't punish anybody else, but you punished him. And they're like, oh, he's a fucked up employee. He does this, this, and this. It's just like, what the hell? Like, where are we going at with this? And I like to lay this out to where, if I did something horrible, like if I did something like broke the law, or if I did a Brady violation, a Brady meaning like, did I lie in a report, or if I did something different, like, that would be one thing, and be like, okay, we need to stay away from Mike, or we need to do this stuff. Like, this was all internal policy violations. So I had not received any complaints. There was nothing else stemming outside of the department. This was all internally generated against me. So it's like, oh, small things that just kept adding up. Like, you get these little comment cards like, oh, you forgot to do this or something like that. I was like, couldn't you just tell me that? And like, no, we got to do an IA investigation, so about your car. Like,
jeez.
So that just kept adding up. And so it finally got to the point where it's just like, it's too toxic for me here. The girlfriend's like, hey, this is absolutely horrible, because she went through a similar experience in the military. She had some lieutenant that was just trying to kick her out, and so we went through and we proceeded on with the lawsuit. And the funny thing is, like, the city had the chance to, like, what's the word I'm looking for, dismiss the charges. They can go like, hey, this doesn't have any standing, like, we want to dismiss the case. They never did that. They didn't do any of that stuff. They didn't bring up any argument to say like, hey, Mike's charges, like, or what he's accusing us of doing, like, there's no merit to it. They just go, okay, all right, let's go on to the trial.
Because they know they did something wrong.
Yeah, you're just like, holy shit. So we got through it, and we started getting the witnesses and started people that were going to like testify. And then you get to the settlement part at the very end. And it's like, do you try to settle it before you do the trial? And at the time, it was like, where is this going to go? How much fighting do I have to do? And then say if I did all this fighting, do I still want to be here? Do I still want to be with, this department and still working for this city? And the answer is no. You don't want to be here. You already went through this fight, so say if you win the court case or whatever, the jury, what happens next? So we sit there, and so we actually settled. I got a 6-figure settlement, and then part of the settlement was, all right, I signed on the dotted line, saying that I quit. I still have my post. It's not like a termination thing. And there was a lot of rumors going around like, oh, Mike got fired and all this BS. I'm like, no. Took my settlement money, and I just said, hey, I'm done. And then I walked off. And the irony is, all that settlement money I used for my future. So I'm actually a certified flight instructor, and I'm also a helicopter pilot. I took all the settlement money and I reinvested it back into myself for the flight school.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I saw that from the beginning when you were just learning to fly and all that, and I thought that was really cool. Because I mean, that's something that I would eventually love to do, like, is become a helicopter pilot. I don't know about fixed wing, but definitely more of a helicopter than anything. And so and then you do. I see you've been doing a lot of, what do you call them? What are they? The guest flights, or what do you call them?
Oh, it's like introduction flight. So I went and I became a flight instructor, so I can teach people how to fly. And so I got a lot of people that are saying, hey, I want to go try it and see what it's like. And so I bring them out there. I actually sit them in the pilot's seat, or be on the left seat where all most controls and displays are. Or if I was going to fly by myself, you sit in the left seat. And I take them up. I just go, hey, you're in control of the plane. Like, I'll show you a couple things, and then, hey, they take off and they have a fantastic time. And I do a couple maneuvers with them, and I kind of show them like, hey, this is how cool this is. Like, this is actually a really cool gig. So
it's not cheap though. Like, to go to flight school and is not cheap at all.
it's not. I use just about every penny to pay for flight school. So those 6 figures that I got, I took all of it, and I go, this is what I want to do with my life, and I converted it over. So I had about 6 figures went into me doing my flight school, but it paid for everything. So
yeah, well, I mean, and you did the right thing, because there's a lot of people in your situation that wouldn't reinvest it into themselves. They'd go buy like a house or a car or these material things that they think would make them happy that they don't need. And you did the right thing where you reinvested it back into yourself and into your future.
yeah, it was a tough decision, but it's like, hey, this is my life, this is my future. I don't care if I go broke doing it. I'm gonna take all this money. I kind of see it as a blessing, where it's like, all right, I went through all that crap with the department, but now I got my pilot's license, and I like to actually think, because of them and all that grief and all that crap that I went through.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't be a pilot if it wasn't for that.
School,
Right.
So that's just what it is, and that's how I'm taking it. That's how I'm moving forward with it. And it's just like, I put it behind me, and like, yeah, you guys are the first people that I've talked about this situation. I've kept a low profile about all this stuff that happened to me, and it's actually been going on for the last maybe 4 or 5 years, but I kept a smile on my face. I wasn't go out there and complain about all that crap. I just kind of kept my head down and just kept, because I'm a positive guy. Like, we're just positive things that happen, and I want to portray that to other people, and it's like, we're all dealing with something like under the skin, under the surface, behind the keyboard of the Instagram or the Facebook and stuff like that. People are going through some shit, but I didn't want to let that drag me down, or I didn't want to worry more about that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Like I said, you've done a lot, and like you said, you don't let the negatives bring you down. You just look forward to the positives. And like you said, if it wasn't for all the grief and stuff you've been through, you wouldn't be a pilot. You wouldn't be able to do all these. Because do you own your plane right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, you wouldn't be able to have all these experiences if it wasn't for going through those hardships.
Yeah.
So.
And you fought back, like there's a lot of law enforcement officers right now, or people in the military that are going through things, and like one of the famous things that they tell us in the military is shut up and color. It's one of those things, like you you experience something that is just morally or even physically or verbally wrong, and the military will look at it as like, hey, just like shut the fuck up, do your job, don't worry about what you saw, don't worry about what happened, like keep going. And like I think it takes a lot for a person to actually like stand up and say, no, like this is wrong, this is fucked, like no, this doesn't work for me, like that's not my moral compass. So like kudos to you, man, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, and that's how, unfortunately, a lot of command staff have rule or reign supreme over their, we'll say subordinates, the smaller guys, because they need a paycheck. Some of these guys have family, they have stuff they have to go back to, and then if they want to stand up for themselves, they don't really have that luxury. And I started to see that through the appeal process. I'm like, hey, dude, like, I don't know, I had like 2 or 3 people that were in the unit with me, and I'm like, okay, this is black and white what they're doing to me, like, and you see it, and he both agreed with me. But as soon as we got to that meeting or that conference we had with the city attorney and then also with the city manager and stuff, and I said, hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot, I want you to tell the truth, that's all I want you to do. And he goes, yeah, I got your back. As soon as they got there, what do you think happened? Oh no, sir, we don't do that stuff, and no, it's nothing like that. And and it's like I can only get 2 questions in, because then it's just like, all right, next guy, because it's like the guy said no, and he approached me afterwards and he goes, dude, I'm so sorry, dude, that was my bad, like they coached us beforehand, they told us what to say, and like, dude, I couldn't, I got my family, man, I can't be on the bad side of the command staff, and at first I was pissed, because I was like, dude, I wouldn't have put you up there, but you said you're my boy and you got me. But then, you completely 180'd me, and at first I was pissed off at the time. And then now I kind of get it. And a lot of those guys go through that, where it's like, financially, I'm fine. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. So I make a lot of good financial judgment with my finance. So it's like, I can afford to take on that fight. Where if like, hey, I want to, you're facing some type of stiff penalty, but a lot of these guys, it's like they're so tight with their finances that like even one suspension or maybe not an overtime gig. Say if like they piss off command staff and they go, oh, we're not going to give this overtime gig, and it's like that's huge for their family. Like I can't do something for my kid, I can't do something for my wife. Like that's how big it is for them. So it's actually bigger, than just like taking a small punishment, because they're like, dude, I need this overtime, and they live outside their means, but for whatever reason. So, in the very end, everyone looks out for themselves. Like, that's just the way it is. Yeah, you can be my boy, like I got your back and stuff like that. But actually, when it comes down to it, you're all alone. Ain't no one gonna have your back. They'll be like, oh yeah, I got you. But it's like, when it comes down to finances or someone's livelihood, they're going to pick themselves and they're going to pick their family, which is the right call. But in that situation,
So what advice would you give to somebody if maybe they're going through a similar experience that you did?
This is a tough one. This is a really tough situation, because if you want to fight it, go and fight it, but understand the fight that you're going to have in front of you, and understand all the ramifications that could happen. Because if you think about it beforehand, literally everything that you think of, like any possible scenario or situation, it's going to pop up. Like 100%, it's going to pop up. Like people are going to hate you for it. People are going to, assume that you're off on your own. People say that you're toxic, all that crap. That's all going to happen. So you have to make a judgment call, whether can you individually stand up to these people. And we're talking about to these people, meaning like it's just a few people at the very top making these decisions. Like it's actually, and it's nothing on them too. That's the funny thing. Like they don't lose any sleep, they don't lose any money if they give a wrong decision. That's the most hilarious part. So you got people at the very top that have unlimited power coming down on you, going like, we're going to make this guy's life living hell. And it is hell. It is effing hell what you have to go through. that you being on your own, you being a squad car by yourself, you just pretty much out there on your own, and I had a couple friends that stuck with me, and that was good for them. And they were kind of the guys that were, on the force for about 20 plus years. So they didn't give a damn. But you're on your own. So there is that decision to go, hey, maybe if I just take it in the butt, and hopefully it's not too bad, they'll forgive me in 6 to 8 months or 6 to 12 months or something like that. And that's the culture. That is the culture going, I'm just going to take my licks, I'm going to put my head down, and then I'm not going to say anything for, 6 to 12 months. And guess what? They're going to forget about me, and they're going to move on to somebody else. Yeah. That's just the culture, and that's the screwed up portion of it, because if you stand up for yourself, you're done. You're ultimately done. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I said, it's crazy what you went through, but I mean, more power to you for doing it, for standing up for, what you believe in. Because like you said, there's plenty of people out there that go through the same thing, but they can't afford, to call out and stand up for themselves because they have a family, they have kids, and they financially can't afford to get on anybody's bad side. And that happens, honestly, that probably happens more times than not. And not just in the, being a police officer, but happens in the military. It happens in any profession, any job at all. If you're working somewhere that's toxic, unfortunately people stay there because they can't afford to leave. They can't afford to stand up for themselves because that's their livelihood. Because like you said, people live outside their means where they just can't do it anymore. And that was one of the reasons I quit my day job, because it was toxic and I didn't want to do it. And so I was like, well, screw this. I'm just going to go do my own thing then. And luckily, I've been able to do that, but like you said, a lot of people don't.
And the whole term, it's greener on the other side. I honestly think that's true. It may not be true for like if you go to another part of the department, meaning like you get transferred to, a detective or something like that. If you stay in the same place, like it's not greener on the other side. It's greener on the other side when you get out. It may be greener if you go to a different department. It may be greener. You're still going to deal with some sort of thing. But like for me, I was so nervous, and a lot of people get so nervous about going, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm going to go and I'm going to do something else. And it's like, it's nervous at first. Like there's a lot of like, what do I do now? Like, cause you're used to being a cop and there's a different way of thinking.
Right.
But then after that, it's like all this weight, all this crap that I had behind me and all these people stabbing me in the back, all these people telling some very toxic, nasty shit to me on Facebook, Instagram. Like it was so bad what they were doing and they were saying to me, but once you remove yourself away from that, it's just like, you feel so much better, go ask the guy that retired, go ask the guy that's been doing it for a while. And he's just like getting out of law enforcement, like, and taking that fresh breath of air. It's like, it's so relaxing, everyone seems happier. They're more exuberant. They're getting color back in their face. Like, it's just, they're healthier,
know? And I mean, that applies to the military, especially too. I mean,
100%.
People that are in for so long, that's all they've done. And when they get out, they're like, what do I do now? Like, I have no idea what to do. All I've done my whole life is be in the military and get told what to do, when to do it. And then when you get out and then you're like, what do I do now? But like you said, so many people are happier when they get out. They get that DD 214 and they're like, I'm out. Like, I can do my own thing. Like, yeah, at first you're scared. You don't know what you're going to do, but you figure it out.
Yeah. And to add to that, there's a lot of people that, work in these services, because I mean, that's what they are, being a police officer or serving in the military. And they get stuck in the ideology that they can't do anything beyond that. Like, everything's already here. Like, I have finances, I have medical coverage, I have a way to take care of my family. Yeah, I might be just getting by, but like, I have this. So like, I'm going to deal with, like in the Army, we call it the big green dick. It's, you're constantly getting fucked by the big green dick. Like, the cool stuff that you guys see on TV and movies, for anyone that's not associated with the military, is like 20% of what we do. And then 80% of the time you're dealing with bullshit and you're dealing with incompetent, I will not absolute this, but you're dealing.
5%.
Huh?
I would say 5 to 10%. I wouldn't even give it 20%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to, like,
yeah.
I got to do cool shit though. Like I was a part of like a special operations, like recon and sniper unit. So like we did hella cool shit, but like in general, like, you know, people get brainwashed into this thing where like I can't do anything and like this is what life is, so this is what I'm gonna accept, and I'm just gonna, for lack of better words, bend over and take it. And don't get me wrong, like it's not an absolute with that either, because there are plenty of people that stay in law enforcement or stay in the military or stay in EMS services or fire services that fucking love their career and, you know, have good experiences. But it comes down to like, honestly, listening to all three of us kind of rant about this, what I think it is mainly is leadership. You have to have good people that are in front of you that you want to inspire, or you want to have the aspirations to follow. And if you don't have that culture of feeling like you fit in or you're a part of the team or you're not being fucking headhunted, like why would you want to stay there? Why would you want to keep dealing with a word that you've said probably like 17 times on this podcast, toxicity? You don't want to have toxic people in your life, especially toxic people that can control your fucking salary and your livelihood. So
yeah, and
powerful
honestly,
story, man.
Yeah, and honestly, 90% of these issues are leadership. You know, most people that have issues in their workplace is because of leadership. It's because the people above them. It's never the people below them. It's always the people that control their paycheck and control what they do and how they do it that come after them.
Yeah, it's, you know, I don't say I'm like glad to be out of law enforcement, because I know I'm like getting myself prepared to get back into law enforcement while doing the flying part of it. And I'll just keep it at that, because I don't want anything else to happen as far as actors to make some anonymous phone calls and stuff, which happened beforehand, you know. So thank that sergeant for doing that. But anyways, you know, law enforcement, I actually loved it, because it was like the stuff that you were able to do and the cool stuff that you were be a part of. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of it was BS, but you know, it was actually cool. Like it was better than a 9-to-5 job. And so it wasn't actually like law enforcement that I was glad to get away from. It was just that environment. It was that command staff, and it was just some of those people at the top that were just making life an absolute living hell. And then that's the part where I feel fantastic for making that decision. You know, I took my settlement money, you know, signed the dotted line, and I got out of there, you know, because you're always nervous about it. You're like, fuck, I don't know, is this the right thing to do? You know, maybe I can stick this out. Maybe I'll just take it in the butt and just like, you know, keep going, you know, and then I'll put my head down, you know. But no, like, sign it, be done. And then guess what? I set myself up to where I can join in somebody else, you know, later on, hopefully very soon, you know, down the road. And so, you know, it's not that I hate the profession. I still love the profession, and I still 100% support and do a lot of stuff to try to help out, you know, people in law enforcement. And anytime I'm associated with companies, I'm always giving back to law enforcement guys, few guys that I know. It's like stuff that I earn through doing the paid sponsorship stuff on Instagram. I'm always giving them all the free stuff, like a lot of 511 stuff, giving it all away, because it's like I'm not using it at the time. So a lot of stuff I still 100% support, you know, those guys and most of the people that are over at that department. But I don't, to end the whole caveat thing, and it's like all the stuff that I've been talking about, like that's all public information. So like in my lawsuit, like that's all public. So like everything that I described, and maybe someone's going like, nah, dude, you were a fucking worst employee and shit like that. And it's like, no. Like that's all written in the lawsuit, and it's public info. So you can go online and go and look and read the entire thing. And I'll tell you, like, that what was going on. You know, it wasn't anything more. I wasn't, what was it? There's a couple of guys in the other department. They were like stealing people's purses and like profiting the cash, and they got caught in a sting operation. Or I'm not screwing my trainee while on duty and stuff like that. You know, I'm not getting into physical fist fights with other employees while on duty and stuff like that, which none of those people got fired for. You know, none of those people got disciplined like hardcore. So all the stuff that happened to me is public record. You can go and check it out and be like, oh, yeah, that's what Michael said. And the best thing about it is like that sergeant who went after me, like that wasn't in my unit, you know, that guy had to get removed from the traffic unit because he had sexual assault allegations and stuff happened to him. So he got moved and he ended up like retiring because he had a bad heart. And then the assistant police chief that was signing all those documents going like, yep, we're going to do this to Mike. He ended up, there's a video of it. He went and freaking beat his wife in her car, you know, out in front of a bar. So like, there's a video of him and his wife going out to the car and then rumbling, and then she comes screaming out of the car, and then he had domestic violence charges brought against him, felony domestic violence charges brought against him. This is the assistant police chief, and you can look that up online. You know, so like these people at the top making these decisions, like their moral compass is so fucked up, but yet they have no problem individually going after people, and that's the part where it just it bums me out. It kind of gets me pissed off. I've come more to peace with it, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, you know, there has to be more accountability to the people that are making these decisions. It's like, all right, if they want to do this, then it's like, and if they're wrong, then they got to be held liable for it.
Right. And I think, like you said, accountability is just a big thing, you know, for it. And unfortunately, most of them aren't held accountable because they think they can just do whatever they want, you know, because they're at this higher level. So they're like, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want because I'm not going to get in trouble for it. So, but okay. Well, we usually end this podcast on a lighter note. On a funnier note, on a funny note. So we usually do questions from the internet. We don't really have any fucked up ones this time, but
he went light on you, dude. I'm disappointed, honestly. Like these are easy, like softball questions, practically.
But we usually end this podcast with some funny questions, some would you rather questions, just to end it on a lighter note. So
give me the softball ones. Like I've already told you my life.
Hey, what? Yeah, dude. Hey, we gotta bring in the girlfriend and mom one.
We ask that one like every podcast.
Dude, it's like so fucked up. It's like so fucked up. Is
all right, let's do it. Bring it in.
We'll do some fucked up questions here. But the first one we're gonna ask is, would you rather have a runny nose or Cheeto fingers for the rest of your life?
What the fuck? A runny nose or a Cheeto fingers? Neither? Like, I don't know.
No, you have to pick one.
You have to pick one.
It sounds like the Step Brothers one. You gotta fuck one, you gotta marry one, you gotta do something like that.
Yeah, we had that last week.
We did that last episode.
All right, Cheeto fingers.
Cheeto fingers, Jesus! I would have gone with runny nose, man. Dude,
yeah, me too.
I was helping someone put on a hoodie the other day, and I had Cheetos on my fingers. I got all over their hoodie, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah.
So like everything you touch, Mike.
I thought you meant Cheeto fingers, like you're all puffed up.
Like, no.
Like Cheeto dust all over your fingers forever.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like fat, like enlarged hand, like you got a snake bite, and then your like hands and your fingers are all like Cheeto.
Like all fucked up.
Okay, I'll take the runny nose. All right.
Yeah, I was like, I would never wish that on anybody. That would suck.
All right, well, I guess I'll take swollen hands, but I guess that's not the same thing.
All right, I got the next one. Would you rather have free coffee or free whiskey? We know what I'm answering, but go ahead. What you got, Mike?
I'd have to say whiskey.
Fuck yeah, dude. We got to get him one of the shirts. Literally, he fits the shirt title. So we have Austin and I both have a line of shirts that's called Lift Heavy, Drink Whiskey. So yeah, we'll have to get one sent out to you, man.
Yeah.
What about you, Austin?
Support that big time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with free coffee just because I'm not a drinker.
Weak fucking answer.
I just don't drink, so
just don't wear the fucking shirt then. Don't advertise it.
I'll just take it off my site.
All right.
And I'll take off yours too.
No. That's like a good seller. That actually sells pretty well on both sites. So, okay. You got the next one?
So yeah, so let's see. So I'm gonna try to find a fucked up one here. Okay. So if your worst enemy had to fuck your girlfriend to get $10 million, would you do it?
Your worst enemy had to fuck your girlfriend. I mean, all I got to do is this Johnny Manziel cash money. $10 million.
$10 million to watch your worst enemy fuck your girlfriend.
Oh, watch. Oh.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, that'd be pretty tough. But then, and you got to stay together with that person, like, for life.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I would. I think I would. I think my girlfriend would be like, "Yeah, take the money." Like,
just
because she's getting fucked. Like she's like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, like, we're talking about doing like OnlyFans and stuff. It's like we're trying to like barely get by, and we're like, God, these people are doing OnlyFans and all this other crap. They're making like
millions of dollars.
Like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah, there was a chick that made like $2 million in 48 hours.
Yep.
I was like, that is a lot of money.
Yep.
So, what was your final answer, Mike?
I think I might take the cash money.
Okay, that's definitive enough.
If there was a chance to explain my answer like I did, then yes. But on the surface, if you're yes or no, then it'd be like probably not. But if you had a chance to elaborate.
So I answered this last time as a yes, but one thing I forgot to mention was, of course, I would split it with my lovely girlfriend. So yeah, but then if we broke up over it, like I'd be like, no, the fucking money's mine. Fuck you.
Give it to me.
Yeah, I mean, for your trouble.
Yeah. Here's like $1 million. Get the fuck out of here now.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, $10 million is a lot of fucking money. So
yeah, just throw $1 million and like be gone.
Your next guess, make it like 50K. That's a good.
Oh yeah, make it a low amount.
Not millions.
Yeah.
You're talking about like 50K.
Yeah, that's a good point. Here you go. Oh wait, awesome. What was your answer?
Oh, I'm gonna go yes. It's $10 million. I mean,
and your wife gets to fuck someone else. I mean,
there's
that's fucking win. There's win-win. That's win-win for everyone.
Well, I mean, there's about nothing I want to do for $10 million. So, I mean,
Okay.
Be a lot of bleach to bleach out that.
Hey,
Right. Would you rather fuck a chick who's banged 1,000 dudes or fuck a chick who's banged 3 animals?
Do I get to know what the animals are?
One was a donkey, one was a horse,
so
and the other was a dog.
Any fucking freak show from Mexico, you're like, yeah, that's it, down there. I guess I'd pick the animals because then I know I could kill the animals later.
Out of pure jealousy. What about you, Austin?
I'm going with the same answer because I mean, at least it's only 3 animals instead of 1,000 dudes. I mean,
well, I was thinking like, man, it's a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
no.
a hot dog in a hallway then.
Jesus. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm going with the animals and just don't want to know about it. Like we just don't need to talk about it.
Imagine like you put it in there and you're like, she's like, are you in? Like, what are we talking about?
No, like I'm in there. Like
my whole fist is in there. Can't you feel this?
Can you not feel my quad? Like my quad is like slipping in.
Yeah. She's like, I went numb after guy 236. You're like, oh.
Okay. Would you rather lose your eyesight or your sense of taste?
Oh, taste, hands down.
Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one. I like being able to see things, but I like food. So like, yeah. I'm gonna go with eyesight.
I think that's bold because knowing a couple blind people, like you're just like, dude, I am so sorry. Like it just seems
I'm gonna go with
right.
I'd be like, all right, I'll go taste. Like
taste as well.
you imagine? You'd be like golden for your girlfriend, like, or for your wife. You know what I mean? Next burnt meal that she serves you for dinner, and you're just like, oh,
Like,
this
is so good.
Right,
You know
this is
what I
the
mean?
best
It's
food
like-
I've ever had.
best food you ever had for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're such an amazing cook, babe. You know?
You could go like on challenges and like eat the most disgusting stuff because you won't taste it.
That's a win-win right there. That's a win-win.
Back when Fear Factor was a thing, when Joe Rogan first started out on Fear Factor.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're gonna
we should do the banged one, the girlfriend and wife.
We're gonna do the fucked up one. We like to ask this because it's the most fucked up question.
This is like the worst one, and
These are all like,
hopefully your girlfriend has stopped listening to the podcast by now.
Okay.
And hopefully your girlfriend has a mother, right?
Yes.
I mean, at some point, everybody does.
Any other disclaimer?
So your mom and your girlfriend switch bodies, and you have to fuck one of them to get them back to normal. Which one are you fucking?
Okay, let's break that down. So my mom became my girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
So your mom's in your girlfriend's body, and your girlfriend's in your mom's body.
Okay.
And you have to fuck one of them to get them back to normal.
And they talk like the other person.
Oh, I'd do my girlfriend.
Okay.
With your mom's voice?
Yeah.
Knowing that it's your mother.
You don't have to tell her to talk. She can tell her to be quiet.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It'll only be 60 seconds, okay? That's all I need.
Right?
Just need 30 seconds. Turn over.
We'll be done in a minute. What you do with the other 30 seconds is up to you. Oh yeah, hands down. Imagine like, come on, like you're like your mom's body, and you're just like, you know, this is like, oh
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's actually answered the other way.
yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna do one more.
Okay.
Would you rather sit down with your parents and watch the moment you were conceived, or a sex tape of you and your girlfriend?
Probably.
So you're either watching your parents have sex, or
they're watching you have sex.
So the night that
the night you were conceived.
I don't know why I just thought of like my mom giving birth to me. Like, so you have the whole like biology, like the birth of life. I don't know why I went there, but I just did. But anyways, okay. So it'd be definitely our sex tape, hands down. I'd be sitting back with a glass of chocolate milk and some Pringles, and then just be like, I did
chocolate milk and Pringles. What?
What the fuck?
What the fuck is that kind of combination?
I gotta let Allie out real quick.
Yeah, I'd be sitting back and just be like, I would say Reese's, but I don't divulge in those anymore.
I know. What the hell, man?
Yeah. So, yep. That'd be look at my art.
Your art.
Well,
okay, man. Well, I think that's all the questions we got for you, man.
Man,
yeah,
there's a lot of sexual questions coming my way.
They were all like light-hearted, like bullshit ones, and part of it was I didn't help them do show notes today because like usually we both find like one or two super fucked up, and then we also have to gauge our guests to figure out if they're gonna want to do them because we've had people on that are going down the political route, like they want to be politicians. So we have to make sure like certain things can't be caught as like snippets for them later.
It's like, he said this on a podcast 5 years ago.
He said he would suck 6 dudes' dicks.
Oh man, yeah, I think that would end their career pretty quick.
Yeah. But dude,
get in the butt for $5 million. What?
But Mike, we greatly appreciated you coming on, you telling your story. You know, there's someone out there that's going to listen to this podcast and it's either going to inspire them or maybe it's going to help them to get through a similar situation, more fucked up or less fucked up situation. So 1, thank you. 2, what we love to do at the end of our podcast is, shout out your social media and any projects that you might be working on currently.
So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Crowbocop. That's CROWE_BOCOP. I haven't been on too much lately, but I think I'm gonna start picking that back up as far as getting back on Instagram. As far as projects and stuff I'm working on right now, I think just keep checking in back with the page. I think a couple more projects will start to come back up, and I'll be asking you guys by doing stories and doing a couple posts to see if you guys can help contribute later on. I think it'll be something doing with amputees in the disabled community, if I'm saying that correct, the disability community, people with other amputees. I'll just put it like that. And so be on the lookout for that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, like Rob said, really appreciate you coming on. You have a good story. Both the good and the bad. So, I mean, it was great having you on, man. So I definitely appreciate it. So,
Cool.
Rob, if you want to go close this out.
Okay. Well, this was the Fight Like Hell podcast, episode 25. We greatly appreciate everyone that's been listening to us and has been on this journey with us for 25 episodes. Who would have known we'd make it this long? And if you are new to our channel, please do us a favor. If you're not following us, or even if you are following us, do us a favor to help us with the algorithms. Follow, unfollow, then follow. Or if you're not following, follow. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, because this is going to go on YouTube as well. We are at Fight Like Hell podcast, and then our personal pages for our businesses are at Save Our Six and Vigilant and Humble, where you can find fucking cool ass merch for people that support the military, law enforcement, medical community, both past and present. Other than that, we fucking love you guys. Thank you for joining us again, and we look forward to ranting with you guys next Monday. Peace.